Hey guys, welcome to Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God. My name's Sarah. I'm married to Mark and we have 8 kids here at home. We have a total of 10 kids. And today's video is about holidays. I had someone ask me, and I'm sure that I'm going to offend both people on both ends of the spectrum here. I don't say this to offend anybody. It's just the conclusions that our family has come to over the years. And so with all that, the first thing I wanted to say is the word holiday actually means holy day. And in the Bible, it talks about we can celebrate holidays if we're doing it to the glory of God. And that it is okay for someone to celebrate a holiday if they are doing it to the glory of God. And it's okay for someone to not do a holiday and still live their life to glorify God. So I think this is a touchy subject. I'm doing this video in August, so it's coming up to, we're going to soon be going through the Christmas season and all of that. And so actually it's not August, it's September. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I first want to say that I think that this can be a very divisive topic because people who choose to not celebrate it sometimes are accused of being judgmental towards people who do celebrate it, and some of those people might be judgmental. But I think there's also people that are on the other end that do celebrate it, and they feel and maybe truly are being judged by people who don't celebrate it. So I feel like we need to be careful that we are talking to each other in love about these subjects, and we're doing whatever we do to glorify God, and that our words that we're saying to each other are glorifying to God. So for our family, and things have changed over the years for us. So I'm going to talk about some of the major holidays first, why we do or don't celebrate them, and then I'll get into some of the smaller ones also. So first, the first holiday that's coming up here for us is Halloween. And I will say that over the years, we have done evangelism on Halloween, and we have done absolutely nothing on Halloween. And I know that this is a tricky one because some people say that if you are opening your door and giving things at the door, you are condoning the practice. But I wonder what you're doing to get the message out about God on that night. So we live in a place where there aren't people that come and trick or treat on our street. And so we have gone to the town square on Halloween before, and we take tracts and we pass out tracts to the kids that come. Or we have given out, Lamplighter Ministries has a free audio book that they've done a couple years called The Haunted Room. I think that's what it's called, that they give a code for, like a free code for Halloween. And so we've given out that before. We have also some years done absolutely nothing. A couple years ago, we did absolutely nothing because we had a new baby and I wasn't going to go stand out in the cold. In Maine, it is very cold on Halloween sometimes. I think some people wear like a snowsuit under their costume because it's so cold. So I wasn't going to go out with kids on that night with a newborn. But I don't think that you can embrace the holiday like the world does and glorify God in that. And you can look up the roots of Halloween and you can do all of that. I'm not going to get into that. But the way that Halloween is celebrated is a lot of death and gore and gruesome and evil. It's a day that is known for witchcraft and demons and that type of thing. And so embracing the way the world does it and acting like the world on that night is not shining Christ's light. But I do feel that Christians can do certain things on Halloween that are spreading Christ's love. And so, like I said, we've gone and we've handed out tracts. When we've lived places where there are trick-or-treaters that come to our door, we've handed out tracts there. But I don't think that we can redeem the holiday for Christian. Also, some people celebrate on Halloween by celebrating Reformation Day. They are the same day, like Halloween is October 31st, Reformation Day is October 31st. It's not worth doing one holiday to take over another holiday. They're both October 31st holidays. We have done a Reformation party too. So that's what I have to say about Halloween. Next big holiday to talk about is Christmas. And we have changed over the years from this. I don't know exactly what Mark's family did for Christmas, but our family, Christmas was a huge thing in our family. We every year got a Christmas tree. Like we went out where we would go pick your own Christmas tree, tramp out through the woods and get it. We used to get the Christmas tree for the neighbor couple who couldn't get out. My mom collected Santa Claus figurines, and we decorated the house. We would have Christmas parties, all of that stuff. We did Santa when I was a kid, all of those things. And as we got married, and if you haven't heard my testimony, you can watch other videos about that. But I was raised in a family that we went to church on Sundays, but it wasn't something that we did a lot with during our week. My dad passed away 10 years ago, but my parents both became much stronger Christians in their walk since then. So I don't know what they would do if they had kids in their house now, just going from my past. When we got married, Mark and I got married, we realized that we didn't want to do Christmas the way that everybody else did, because we wanted to make sure that there was a focus on Christ. So when we first got married, we still had a Christmas tree. We still did presents. And we would invite my parents over, and we would always read the Christmas story from the Bible and do our presents. As time went on, my parents are not rich, but they're well off. And so they always did presents for the kids. And after a few years, I asked my parents to please reduce the amount of presents they were getting, just because it was just a lot. It was a lot of consumerism. And my mom has come to tell me that she actually really appreciated that, because it became more about thinking of the wants and interests of each child, instead of just, I need to make sure everybody has 27 toys or whatever. I don't know how many they used to get, but I limited my parents to 3. And I have a really good relationship with my mom. It was a discussion that both of us came out of that discussion with really good attitudes. It was like very pleasant discussion. So we did that for a while, and we've never had to limit it before. Like since then, I don't even think my mom does 3 presents anymore. I don't really know, because we don't make a big deal about Christmas. In our house, we have decided not to have a tree. It's just one more thing to keep up with. And it can be something that becomes, I don't want anything to become so much a part of Christmas that we feel like we can't have Christmas without that. I have heard people who say, I can't have Christmas for my kids because I just lost my job. And if Christmas for your kids, remembering the birth of Christ and glorifying him in that, is so wrapped up in the fact that you have to have certain things to make it a day of glorifying God, then other things have gotten in the way. I'm not saying that's how it is for most Christians. I'm just saying we really try to think in terms of what are we using to try to make our glorifying of God more memorable, or whatever you want to call it. And so sometimes it's good to just do the remembering of Christ's birth without all those extra things. But like I said in a video I was making before, we have certain Christmas traditions that we do. We have certain cookies that we make every Christmas time. We have a certain cranberry salad that we make every Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's the only time of year we make it. And so I'm not saying we don't have traditions, but if your tradition has become so big that you forget about worshiping God on that day. Sorry, I thought I saw a kid coming out. Then that's a big deal. But I don't think that most people who have a Christmas tree in their house are actually worshiping their Christmas tree. I don't think people who are doing presents are saying, we're going to do presents and we don't care about Jesus. I think people do it as, we want to be able to do something special on this day to make this a great day for our kids. I'm not saying any of that is awful. I'm saying we should be doing these things in light of these being holy days, and are we glorifying God in it? I do have a problem, and I might turn a bunch of people off here, but I do have a problem with Santa Claus. Santa Claus is given a lot of attributes that only should go to God. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, that you're trying to perform for Santa. And I've even heard Christian parents, near holiday time, oh, don't do that, or Santa's not going to bring you a present. And there's this aspect, I'm sorry, I'm trying to hold a baby who's getting a little grumpy. There's this aspect in the kids' heads that they have to perform a certain way to please Santa Claus, who's this imaginary man who's going to bring them presents. And I think it takes on some attributes of Jesus, and it makes this man that you can't see, that is blessing you for your performance, can easily be misconstrued in a child's mind of, well, I can't see Jesus either, and I'm supposed to be good for him too. And then your kids find out that Santa doesn't really exist, and what does that make them think of these other stories, like Bible stories that they can't actually prove? I'm not saying the stories are false. I think they are very true. But to a child, how do you prove that Jonah really was in the whale for 3 days? I, as a Christian, can tell you that God doesn't lie and that it actually happened. But where does that all get muddied up in the child's brain? So we do not do Santa. My kids know the story of Santa, like St. Nicholas, and they know the story of like being generous and all of that stuff. So I'm not saying we don't tell them those things, but we don't watch movies that have that focus on Santa Claus. We don't read books that focus on that. We don't portray Santa bringing them anything. Also, if I'm going to spend hard-earned money to buy my kids something, I don't want to give credit to Santa who didn't actually do anything. So all of that. We as a family don't do gifts on Christmas, like us parents to the children, or the children to each other. We also don't do gifts specifically on our birthdays either. I'll get to birthdays in a minute. But our feeling is, if our kids need something or want something, and we have found something that they would enjoy, I don't want to stick it in a box and leave it in the closet for 3 months because it's not Christmas Day yet. I just give it to the child. So we don't give things on birthdays either. And part of this is, you never know how short life is. And if I decide tomorrow that I think Uriah would really like this train toy that I found, I don't want to wait for a birthday or Christmas, because we never are like promised tomorrow. And even if it's not something like death, Josiah a couple weeks ago broke his arm. So what if I had been planning to give him something that was for water play on his birthday, and then, oh, his arm's broken on his birthday and he can't use it? Like, we just do it when the need or the feeling of wanting to give arises. So we do not do presents on Christmas, but we do have some family members that like to give presents for Christmas. And so we do those Christmas presents. We just don't do them within our own family. We don't have a big shindig on Christmas Day. It's just, I also grew up in a family where my parents both worked many holidays. My dad was in emergency services and my mom was a nurse. And so we didn't always do those things on the holiday. Other holidays that people might ask about, I'm assuming those were the big ones that people asked about. The next one that I think is the last big holiday is Easter. Resurrection Sunday is very important. In the Bible, we are not told to celebrate the birth of Christ. I'm not saying it's wrong to celebrate it, but we're not told, like, there's no command. If I am missing something, please let me know. But I don't see any command in the Bible to celebrate Christ's birth. However, we are told to celebrate Christ's, celebrate, I don't know if that's the right word, death and resurrection. Specifically the resurrection, that's worth celebrating. So we need to, I think that is important. It's an important holiday. If somebody chooses not to celebrate it, I'm not saying that they're wrong and they're not a Christian. But for us, it's important to celebrate on that day. But a lot of the things that go along with Easter, such as the Easter bunny and candy and all of those things, are definitely not biblical. And so we do not do those things. Again, I think that if you are spending the day to glorify God, I can't say that what you are doing is wrong. And you can't say that what I'm doing is wrong, because we know our heart, like each of us knows our own heart between ourselves and God. But if you are doing things that is taking away from that glorification of God, if you are doing things exactly like the world does them, and they don't see that this holiday is important to you because Christ arose on that day, but they see it as you're more excited about the Easter bunny or what you got in your Easter basket, then that's a problem. But I do know, like, we get together with family sometimes for a meal and things like that. So I don't think those things are wrong. Again, I'm not judging people who do things differently than us. I'm trying to tell you what our views are on these things. So for some of the smaller holidays, Thanksgiving is a day that you can think what you want about history with the Indians and the Pilgrims and what happened between those people. But the Puritans did come to America to have religious freedom. They came to be able to worship God in a right way. And then they did it with thanksgiving to God, to have a celebration that God got them through that first year. So I think that it's important as a nation. Anytime that the president has declared, hey, everyone's getting a day off work so we can thank God, I think that that's important. I know that's not what everyone else thinks about it, but thanking God for everything he got us through, getting us ready for winter, all of those things, I think thanking God is a great thing, no matter what day of the year you do it. So there's my Thanksgiving Day bit. I think that as Americans, because I'm in America, I think as Americans, there are some holidays that are specific to America that you can choose to celebrate as a Christian or choose not to, but we need to remember that our identity is in Christ, not as an American. And so during, like, our family goes to our local 4th of July parade. We like to hand out tracts at the fireworks, all of those things. But to remember that we, like, this world is just a place that we're passing through, and we can thank God for putting us in a country where we have more freedoms than a lot of countries as of right now, and we can worship God freely in this country, are all things that we should celebrate and thank God for. But you may choose to do it on that day. You may choose to just do it in prayers every day. I don't know how you do it. But again, if we identify as an American above being a Christian, then our priorities are out of order. But I think that you can be thankful for where God has placed you in history and geography. Thankful for the things that he's given us, because we live in a place where we don't have people coming in and taking our Bibles. We aren't living in a place where we're afraid to walk down the street because we might be killed for our faith. Trying to think of some other holidays. Oh, so any of those holidays that do with America. So we also have Memorial Day and Veterans Day, and there's another one. Memorial Day, Veterans Day, and Armed Forces Day. That's what it is. Those are to remember people. Armed Forces Day are people that are in the military currently. Veterans Day are people that were in the military, that retired from the military, like not retired from, but like served in the military in the past and now no longer serve. And then there's Memorial Day for remembering people who died in battle. Whatever you think of America and whether we should be fighting wars and all of that, people have given their lives trying to keep freedoms for this country. And so we use those days to remember the families who, like the people and then their families who have put themselves out there and have been hurt or wounded because either they had to just live through the atrocities of war, coming back as a whole person, maybe people who lost a limb, people who died and their families are left behind. We talk about that on those holidays to just remember that people have served trying to keep those freedoms. So again, no matter what you think of the military, I said in another video, Mark's family is very military. My family, my dad and his family, most of them couldn't serve in the military because of disabilities, and my mom's family was Mennonite and didn't serve. So we come from all lines of it, and even if we were total pacifists, like the Mennonite part of our family, I still think it's important to remember the people who have been hurt by war. Holidays, another holiday is New Year's Eve. If you want to celebrate on New Year's Eve for the new year, that's great. God giving us another year of time to be here serving Him. Totally great. You shouldn't get drunk. The Bible specifically says that. But if you want to hang out with your friends and stay up till midnight, go ahead. Just glorifying God. All of these things were supposed to be glorifying God. Okay, sorry, I handed off the baby. Okay, so for birthdays, we let somebody choose all of their meals, and we might go do something fun, but it's not necessarily the thing that that person would pick for their birthday. Like, it's not like we say, hey, Uriah, what do you want to do for your birthday? We just tend to take a day near their birthday and do something as a specific family day. So we're not in our normal routine. So maybe it's just we, go check out a couple of local playgrounds, or we go to the local state park. Maybe go to the Transportation Museum, which we have a pass for. Maybe it's something bigger just because we happen to have time that day, but it's not specifically asking the child where they want to go. It's making it a family day. Kind of going along with that. So like that's what we do for birthdays, is we celebrate by singing you happy birthday. You get to pick all your meals. The day is just kind of a fun family day. For our anniversary, for Mark and I, we've been married for 22 years now. We call it our family birthday, and we have a special family day where we make just meals that everyone's going to appreciate and do something fun for the day. We call it our family birthday. And then the last holiday that I was going to mention is Valentine's Day. And Valentine's Day has a lot of things, not even the history of Valentine's Day, but just a lot of the things that are celebrated on holiday. I know when I was in school, you used to be able to send flowers to people, and you could send them anonymously for like your secret crush and that type of thing. And like Cupid and his arrows and all of that. There's a lot of unbiblical teaching about love on Valentine's Day. And so I think that Valentine's Day, as it's celebrated by the world, can be very much like more of a lust thing than a love thing. But I think remembering, if you actually do have somebody that you're in a relationship with, that love that God has given us, that we can only know love because we know Him, can be celebrated on that day. But I think there's just a lot of lust things that happen on Valentine's Day. So I think I mentioned all the holidays. If there's a holiday you want me to talk about and what we do on that holiday, there's things we do throughout the year. So like the other day was September 11th, and we spent the day, we watched a couple documentary type things, and we talked about the people who lost their lives and how, people's worlds were changed in a moment that day, and they need to know where they were in Christ and those types of things. But but I'm thinking like the major holidays. I think I've covered them all. If you have more questions, you can ask. Thank you for joining us on Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God, and we'll see you next time.